Hello everyone, welcome to the Native Level channel. Today let's look at some news from the BBC. A story entitled Donald Trump calls anti-racism protesters vandals and anarchists, BBC News. What do you think about this? Let's watch.
Now in Atlanta, the funeral has taken place of Rayshard Brooks, an African-American shot dead by police in a confrontation 2 weeks ago. His killing, following that of another black American, George Floyd, provoked weeks of protest by anti-racism campaigners.
Okay, first of all, sorry, let me not stop here, let's keep going.
President Trump today called the protesters vandals and anarchists.
Now, am I wrong? Didn't Donald Trump say that the protesters had been hijacked by anarchists? What do you think about this? Is the BBC trying to twist the narrative? As far as I know, Donald Trump hasn't associated protesting with vandalism. He's separated vandals and anarchists from the term protesters. Do you think the BBC are misrepresenting the situation here? What do you think?
The problem is to reinforce the law to protect statues and monuments. Our North America editor, John Sopel, has the latest.
Because of King!
Another funeral for a black man killed by a white police officer. The names and places may change, but the storyline is wearily familiar. Today in Atlanta.
What's going on? Am I seeing things? Is this a funeral? And is it a packed funeral, people with masks? Haven't people been told that no more than 10 people can gather can attend a funeral service during the supposed deaths of people who contracted COVID-19? What happened? What happened? Why couldn't more family members come to other funerals with masks on?
They're laying to rest Rayshard Brooks, shot in the back after he ran from police trying to arrest him on a drink driving offence.
If your skin is the weapon and your complexion is the crime, what do you do to stay alive? Comply like George Floyd or run like Rayshard Brooks?
All right, that's a very valid point, but I personally believe people like David Icke say, unfortunately, this movement called the Black Lives Matter movement has done its best to keep people in boxes. Why aren't these police officers who've done these crimes isolated as wrong, if you will? Well, why bring things down into race? It appears that this whole narrative is very much hell-bent on keeping people divided into groups, which is very much in line with the social distancing measure in the first place. Let's keep going.
I'm not asking for a friend, I'm asking for myself.
The reverberations from this killing and that of George Floyd are still being felt across America as the Black Lives Matter movement tries to make this an inflection point in this country's long and tortuous battle for civil rights. There's urgent debate on police reform.
Police reform is one thing, but there's something about... Let's keep going.
Last night here in Washington, there was fresh unrest. In Lafayette Park, just across from the White House, protesters tried to tear down a statue of Andrew Jackson, America's 7th president, and a slave owner who...
This is inappropriate in my opinion, because, as many have pointed out, it is very Marxist, communist if you will, to tear down remnants of the past. Should one start tearing down remnants of the past, and God knows they won't stop there, they will attempt to erode the past in as many ways as possible. These statues are some of the biggest ways to reference the past. Without knowing where one comes from, where can one know where they're going? One could easily reintroduce the idea of Marxism when evidence of it in the past has been erased. What do you think?
who was responsible for the terrible mistreatment of Native Americans.
Now, of course, these characters, yes, these people have done obviously horrendous things, but it is an important milestone. I think it is important to preserve milestones of the journey from non-civilization to civilization, because one can easily repeat the mistakes of the past, if you will. I'm not saying this man made a mistake, an innocent mistake. That was very deliberate, but of course to acquiesce to his agenda at the time was a mistake of people. But let's just say errors. It's a big thing to. It's a foolish thing to overlook the errors of the past, or forget the errors of one's past as they proceed in the future, because one can easily repeat them if they don't know where they're coming from. What do you think?
Donald Trump, who installed a portrait of Jackson in the Oval Office when he became president, said this would not be tolerated.
We are looking at long-term jail sentences for these vandals and these hoodlums and these anarchists and agitators, and call them whatever you want. Some people don't like that language, but that's what they are.
Where did he say that these protesters are vandals and anarchists? If you had the quote, then that would be more. Then I could at least say, okay, you at least have made your point there. But I need you to be honest with the news. I think what they call the left in America, in England's represented by the Labour Party, I think these politicians who have pushed this inappropriate COVID-19 social distancing measure, and I say that boldly, of course, and have at the same time supported mass gatherings in the name of this protest, and are attempting to bait Donald Trump into sending in an army to try and quell them. And Donald Trump has done something quite wise, which is a bit controversial, which is, he said, to stand back and let them reap what they have coming. People have been getting killed, put in body bags, people have been chopped up and put in bags all over Seattle over the past few days, let alone weeks. So let's just see where this goes. But what do you think about this? And I say that to say, I don't believe I don't believe the BBC are on the side of the people, telling them the truth, and I therefore disagree with the statement that is made. What do you think about this?
Change is coming in sport too. NASCAR has finally removed Confederate flags from being flown after Bubba Wallace, the only black driver in the sport, called for them to be banned.
You know, on one hand, one can say this is a form of justice, something that patriotic nationalists had coming due to their overlooking of the plight of people overlooked for some reason, for racial reasons, class reasons, or whatnot, or gender reasons. But with all this going on, it seems very obvious to me that people are being divided more and more, and what people need is unity. So I personally don't think this should be allowed to continue much longer, but the only way, as David was saying, is to stop it. It's to not even rely on politicians to do the stopping, but it's for people to simply no longer acquiesce to this agenda. All one has to do is not cooperate. Now, of course, it appears that the police force needs to be sent in to quell these mobs that are coming in and wreaking havoc all over the place. The police have been driven out of some places for exactly this reason, it looks like, to facilitate mobs to attempt to rewrite the world in a very much more divided and communist way, if you will. So I say, like Donald Trump has said, yeah, let them go where they are going to go. I must say, I've not considered myself a Trump supporter or anything. I've got to say now, it seems as though he's the one politician in this grand scheme of things that is at least looking to resolve situations and not facilitate people's walking into the mass suicide. But what do you think?
But in his garage over the weekend, someone had left a noose. Change is not going to come without a backlash. But Wallace is undeterred.
People left a noose in his garage. He's very much reminds me of Jussie Smollett, or as Dave Chappelle mentioned, Juicy Smollett. It's so... You can't just put... I mean, to report it, of course. No, this is pathetic in my opinion. But what do you think about this?
You're not going to take away my smile, and I'm going to keep on going.
And his fellow drivers, in a show of solidarity...
Social distancing? What's this? What's all this? There's so many holes in this whole thing.
He pushed his car to the front of the grid. Their life is racing and winning. Today, it was about race and equality. John Sopel.
That's pathetic. Okay.
BBC News, Washington.
What do you think about this, everyone? My word. Please let me know what you think. I'm just happy that things are falling apart little by little. How in the world can you justify social distancing after all of this mass gathering? What do you think? Why aren't people dropping dead after all of these mass gatherings that have been happening over the past few days without masks? After told that this COVID-19 virus was highly infectious and highly contagious and very deadly. What's going on? What is going on? Let me know what you think, everyone. Thank you.